They can cause damage. Otherwise, they can cause damages. You look at knowledge, change in management, contingency planning, ongoing review, contract management training, planning information collection and analysis. Contract management personnel understand the legislative, regulatory, and commercial context of the project. They should understand this is what the law states. This is where we are operating. These are the rules and regulations we must comply. These are the do's and the don'ts in this area. Don't think it is like where you are familiar with before. This is a new territory. That's what I say here. All the key risks of the project are identified and are updated as necessary over time. As they are coming up, the risks are coming up. What do I say is risk? Factors that are coming up to make sure you don't achieve your objective. But you can manage them, or you diversify them, or you reduce them, or you are taking the risk. All the key projects identified and updated necessary over time. The likelihood of each risk materializing and its potential consequences and impact on the project objectives have been assessed. We are looking at the likelihood of each risk materializing. That is probability. That differentiates risk from uncertainty. Uncertainty, you don't know the likelihood, you cannot measure the likelihood. Risk, you can measure the likelihood. And now we are saying you look at the potential consequences and impact on the project. Some may be low, some may be medium, some may be high. You start with those with high impact on the projects or objectives and make sure you tackle them. Then you go down to medium, you go down to low impact. That's the likelihood of occurrence. Possible controls and mitigations for each risk have been identified, assessed, and implemented. Where you have identified the risks and assess the impact and implement, we have to establish controls and mitigation strategy. The ones that you cannot easily eliminate, because it's not every risk that you can eliminate. You have to bring in strategies to mitigate it, for mitigation of that risk. Interdependencies between risks and are understood. Certain risks occur because of factors that cause them are inbuilt in the organization. Certain risks are derived from other factors inherent in the organization. You should understand them. This is coming because of this. This is giving us problem because of this. That is to say, it is a derivative of an underlying factor that is causing it. Instead of you to be dealing with symptoms and not with the causative factor, you look beyond the symptom to what must have been causing it. Eliminate that thing, and the symptom will go. For instance, somebody may be feeling headache. headache, headache, headache. It's not just the headache, it's malaria that is behind it. If you cure the malaria, the headache goes. Potential changes in the project's risk profile over its life cycle have been considered, planned for, and responded to. You consider the changes because things don't remain the same. In fact, geography tells us that even the Earth surface itself is under constant reshaping. Earth's surface is under constant reshaping, and that's the truth. Could be by erosion, could be by this, could be by that, could be by this. And you notice that if you have visited a place, let's say 10, 20 years ago, if you visit that place again, you may not even know the place again. Changes have taken place, and changes do take place. So you have to consider those changes, plan for them, and respond to them. Good contract management is not reactive, but aims to anticipate and respond to business needs of the future. Not only contract management, not only good contract management that is not reactive, every management strategy and everything you do, don't make it reactive. It's until they show up, you know, and you can. That's fire brigade approach. You have to be anticipatory, good anticipation, and respond to them. Respond to them in anticipation, but let it be the right anticipation. Let it not be out of panic or fear. But yeah, this is anticipated. Don't mind this system. Okay, we are on this page now. We are here now. We say good contract management is not reactive, but aims to anticipate and respond to business needs of the future. And I said it's not only contract management, it's everything about life. It should not be reactive, but you have to anticipate, proactive. You have to anticipate and react to them with good anticipation. I say anticipation not born out of panic or fear, but anticipation that yes, I have planned, I know what will take place because I have done the planning, then you react if it is not turning out that way. Contract administration. Contract administration requires an understanding of the legal documentation for the project and also the commercial intent of the parties, the operating, industry, and community issues associated with service provisions. Yes, this is very important. You have to know the community aware because you get your input from the community and you offload your output to the community. So you get to know, have a good, that's why we have social responsibility, have a good rapport with them, and then know how you work with them. The legislative and regulatory context in which the project operates. It is the best practice to prepare a comprehensive contract administration manual that enables the project director to understand the key contract provisions and the environment in which the contract must be administered, which will specify what needs to be done, by whom. Yes, we have to look at this slide very well. I love it. What it helps us to write, to guide us in allocating responsibilities, checking things, investigating. This is what we need. What needs to be done, by whom, and when. How will employer's role be performed? What are the ramifications of any non-performance or default by either party, and how this should be addressed? What, who, when, how, and why. These are the five W's and one H that Peter Drucker says they are the things that teach him in life. And he recommended it for management, for investigation, for evaluation of what is happening. And that is what you can see how it is used here for project management. We specify what needs to be done, by whom, and when. As a person in charge, first and foremost, this is what you think of. What should we do? Who will do it and do it well? When are we going to start doing it? To settle that. How will employer's role be performed? How is he going to do it? How will employer's role be performed? How are we going to, as employers, how are we going to play our role, step in to make sure that he succeeds, he or she succeeds? What are the ramifications of non-performance or default by either party, and how this should be addressed? What is the implication? Everything has consequence. If we fail, what is the implication? Why should we be serious about this thing? That's the why there. Why should we be serious? Why should we not play with what we are doing? That is the why there. So we have 5 W's and 1 H. Always present in your planning, in your investigation, in anything you do. If you know how to use them rightly, they will help you to do it better. Who, when, why, where, how, when. If you get this and internalize it, it helps you in your planning and execution and monitoring. Very important. performance reporting and monitoring. Performance measures lie at the heart of performance management, and it is important that performance measures are linked to strategic objectives of the desired outcomes. Performance measures lie at the heart of performance management, and it is important that performance measures are linked to objectives or to desired outcome. We have discussed it before. We are now saying it here. We are now saying the emphasis that it is very important that performance measures are linked to strategic objectives or to desired outcomes. In other words, when you are planning, look at the end from the beginning. Look at the end, hypothetically. Look at the end in your mind's eye. From the beginning, look at the end. That's how to plan. That's how to measure performance. And whatever you are doing, make sure you don't deviate from the objective or desired outcome. Make sure you don't deviate. For if you deviate, the impact will not be desirable. In other words, effectiveness will be lost. The employer understands the contractor's internal operating environment, such as its cash flows. It is through this understanding that the employer can derive an awareness of the private party's strengths and weaknesses, including financial performance. Before you award contract, try to understand the capability of the contractor. Not just what he says he can do, but what you know he can do. Any person you ask, can you do this? He will say yes. It's up to you to know his strengths and his weaknesses. It's up to you to know his strengths and his weaknesses and be convinced that he's capable of doing what he says he can do, not just claiming to do it, but he's capable of doing it. You have to be convinced. Because it serves no good purpose when you have awarded a contract and you expect him to finish. But because of inadequacies on his part, he keeps giving excuses rather than performing. He keeps giving excuses. You didn't sign contract agreement with him to hear excuse. You signed the contract agreement with him to get him delivered on what he said he can do. So the employer monitors soft indicators of the management quality of contractor, looking for weaknesses or trends that may provide an early indication of trouble ahead. I love this. Don't just leave him to do as he likes. Monitor what he's doing to see signs of weaknesses that he may not even want you to know, that he's having this challenge, he's having this weakness. Ordinarily, they would like to cover it up, but it's your responsibility to detect it, because it's you that will be affected. After he has done what he does or abandoned the contract, you'll be affected. So you look up to it to find out, is he still on track? And that will give you indications of trouble ahead. Oh, have I chosen the wrong contractor? Or has something come up that is preventing him from carrying out the contract? If anything happens now, who will be negatively affected? So you have to take measures to avoid that by being aware of what is happening before trouble comes. Having signs of indication of trouble ahead and possibly discussing it with him. Discussing it with him. He will like to give excuses or this or that, but you have to let him know that, look, this is not the way we planned it. This is not the way we agreed. The employer regularly reviews the quality of the service as measured against the KPIs and output specification. That's key performance index and output specification should be used to measure against the quality of the service and review the service. Because a contractor cannot just take a contract to do what he wants to do. He should accept the contract to do what he ought to do, which is what you want him to do. That's what we are saying here. Output specifications, what you want him to do, key performance index. Okay, this is what you are doing, this is what you ought to do. It should be used to regulate the contractual relationship. Having assessed the data collected these monitoring activities, the employer takes appropriate action to mitigate or control any risk that are materializing and to minimize value for money from the projects. Relationship management, dispute resolution, issue management. It is imperative to maintain a strong relationship between the employer and the contractor. Good relationship management enables the parties to anticipate risk events more effectively and deal with those risks that do materialize. If you have a good relationship, rapport with the contractor, and if the contractor, from this perspective now, has a good rapport with the employer, the person that gave him the job, he can freely discuss challenges he's facing before it becomes critical. And both of them look for solutions to the problems, can look for solutions to the problem jointly. He is interested in delivering, yes, but he has a challenge. You are interested in getting value from the project. You are interested in getting the project working. So you also can help him to look for to solve the problem that he has when there is a good rapport, when there is a good uh, when there is a good relationship. Good communication and a strong relationship are essential, especially if issues arise, which goes to the heart of the contract's operation. Good communication and strong relationships are essential. If the contractor is passing through challenges and doesn't want you to know, he hides it. It's like a child, maybe your son, he goes to play football, he sustains an injury. He comes, he does not want to let you know because he wouldn't want you to treat that wound with painful ointments or so. He keeps hiding it until the thing deteriorates and becomes such that it stops him from going to school. It stops him, and you rush him to hospital. But if he had told you of that problem earlier, it could have been nipped on the bud. But he was hiding it. The same way contractors can hide things, thinking that they can get the solution this one way or the other, but they didn't. But with good rapport, good communication, strong relationships, that problem can be avoided. It is also important to recognize that disputes and service delivery issues most likely will arise and will need to be appropriately managed. You can't rule this out in interpersonal relationship. It will always arise. But what you have to say is that you'll manage it well. If the parties have strong dispute and issue management principles and produces and procedures in place, this will help minimize damage to the relationship and assist the parties to achieve success in the project. No person wants a fractured relationship. Everyone wants a relationship that works. It is beneficial that the relationship works. Beneficial to you, beneficial to the other party. It's beneficial. No person wants a relationship that gives you headache, gives you trouble, gives you problem. No. You want a relationship that is smooth and cordial, that you see each other and you are happy. So let's look at relationship management, establishing relationship management structures, senior management support, peer-to-peer communication, separation of roles, defined roles and responsibilities, escalation paths. Let's look at them one after the other. Senior management support. They have a authority level for signing of money and the rest of them. The project you need, your authority is maybe 100,000. The senior manager signs 500,000 and you need 500,000. He'll send the request to his table. In the next 1 week, he keeps it there. Keeps it there. Does not want to act on it. It will affect the contract. Means he's not supporting the project. But there should be senior management support. Peer-to-peer communication. That's horizontal. This one is vertical. This one we are talking about now, peer-to-peer, is horizontal relationship. People at the same level should at least maintain cordial relationship. Separation of roles. One person should not be allowed to carry out responsibility from start to finish. There should be separation, there should be breaking. We identified 4 levels of separation. 1, initiation stage. 2, authorization stage. Okay, there are 5. Let's look at it. Initiation stage. The person that initiates, it could be a purchase of something or so, should not be the person that will authorize. Then the person that authorizes should not be the person that will execute. We have like initiation, the user department, authorization, management, higher level of authority, execution, procurement department, as we are talking now. Then documentation. Procurement, yes. Execution stage, procurement, yes. Documentation, accounts office, accounts office. They collect documents, they prepare accounts, accountability. That's another stage. Then storage, physical asset storage. That's why stores exist. Banks, stores. If it is money, store in the bank, store in the state, store physical distance, store in the stores. That's storage. These are the levels of separation of roles, which is germane. Else, you are calling for fraud. If one person is allowed, all these roles are fused in one person, or one or two roles are collapsed into one person's hand, there will be manipulation. And if, even though they are separated, separation of roles, even though they are separated, there is possibility of connivance, collusion. You've not really accomplished much. Not really accomplished much. Make sure there will be no connivance or collusion. Then, as you have done this, you define roles. Everyone should know what is ought to do, and then escalation paths. If there is any complaint, what part will I take? Who will I complain to? Who will I complain to? That's the escalation part here. Who will I complain to? If there is anything above my power, above my level, where next will I go to? And the person that you go to should make sure he gives you listening ears. Gives you listening ears. Hears what you have to say and plays his role as a mediator. That's what we are talking about there as relationship management. Then understanding one another, which is very important. You should understand your boss. Know how he plays, what he does, what he doesn't, and then understand your subordinates. Objectives and expectations, future plan and directions, concerns about wider relationship, opinion surveys, establishing and using communication channels. Formal and informal contact points, horizontal and vertical, that's what I dealt with now, communications, documenting verbal communications. There are certain communications, even though verbal, that you need to document. For instance, this thing we are doing now, at the point we started recording it, it's recorded at the time. It's recorded. Though we didn't start from the beginning, but that's verbal documentation. Relationship management and succession planning. As people are in different roles, doing different jobs, yes, should not forget that everything has a beginning, that has a beginning, will have an ending. One day the managing director will leave. One day the vice chancellor would leave. And another person would like to be there. If they didn't establish system of succession, there will be crisis at that point. Everyone wants to be there. Both the people that don't qualify and the people that are qualified, they will have reasons why they feel they are qualified to be there, and they will be fighting for it. Monitoring relationship. In an organization, is good to monitor relationships. Not so that you can poke nose into people's privacy or private affairs, or no, but so that you can know the toxic relationships that may develop and affect the organization, and you step in and nip it in the bud. People are not at talking terms, but they have things to do to work together. At least it will affect the work. You have to step in and settle the relationship, settle them, and let them know that yes, you can do this outside, but not in this organization. You have to work together. You have to monitor relationship and settle relationships that try to become toxic. Governance, probity, and compliance. It is the duty of the employer in ensuring appropriate governance, probity, and compliance practices are established within the organization and in its interactions with the contractors and any other government stakeholders. This assists the employer to comply with the relevant laws regulations, and government policies. Knowledge and information management. Employers' ability to successfully manage a contract can depend upon the project director having an effective knowledge and information management strategy tailored to the project's needs. In a well-managed project, the project director ensures the information collected in relation to a project is maintained, periodically reviewed, and organized for easy retrieval and access. These practices assist the employer to comply with record-keeping obligations, disclosure obligations, intellectual property laws, and confidentiality obligations. Change management. As somebody has said, and I'll have to quote this, there is nothing more difficult to handle, more dangerous to manage, and more doubtful of success than change. He said, it suffers resistance from those that are benefiting from the status quo, and weak support from those that will benefit from the emerging change. He said this is because of the credulity of human nature and the unwillingness to accept something new without life's prior experience. This is the theory somebody said about change, and that's the truth. Doubtful of success, difficult to handle, and dangerous to manage. Change. More so in Nigeria. Anytime you talk of change now, people start running. With APC kind of change, it has not left the mentality of Nigerians and may not live for a long time. But anyone that is not changing is not progressing. Though change can be in positive direction, it can be in negative direction. So I feel sorry for Nigeria because with the mentality we are having now about change, if we talk of change now, an average Nigerian gets uncomfortable. Is it APC change? No, not APC change. APC has even changed from their change to hope, renewed hope. And this is a renewed hopelessness. So Nigerians will be worried. But in life, if you are not changing, you are not growing. And if you are not growing, definitely you are not making progress. So despite the abuse to change, we must still embrace change. During the life cycle of any project, it is likely that a number of changes will occur, requiring proper management. Changes may be contemplated at the time of procurement and provided for in the contract, or not contemplated during procurement but seen as desirable or necessary alteration to services or the contract. We know of prices. We know of prices. You may include it in the contract that yes, we agree at this contract price, but if prices for cement changes from this to something or this, then we need to review the contract price. Yes. If prices for wood or nail, any work or material thing that you know is material in the execution of that contract, if the prices change beyond this point, then we need to review the contract. Okay? Another case, change events are both a source of risk and a potential opportunity to extract additional benefit from the project. It may be a risk, it may increase, it may even reduce. Good change management processes incorporate the following features. Appropriate protocols are in place to manage change. Appropriate staff have the authority to request and authorize changes. Potential changes are assessed thoroughly by suitably experienced personnel, having consulted with all relevant stakeholders. Changes are appropriately prioritized and their implementation is properly resourced. The implementation of changes is controlled and tested. Changes are appropriately documented. Changes do not compromise value for money outcomes. Very important. Contingency planning. It may not be possible to fully transfer responsibility for the risk of service delivery failure to the contractor. If the contractor fails to deliver services according to the requirements of the contract, the employer and possibly government as a whole may retain accountability and potentially face adverse reaction from end users and third parties. In addition, the contractor's obligation to provide services may be suspended through the operation of force majeure provisions. If so, the employer may be compelled or subjected to strong pressure to ensure that the public or other third parties are not inconvenienced by disruption to the supply of those services. Effective contingency planning is that the employer can react to unplanned events and control the impact of these events on service delivery value for money outcomes. We look at ongoing review. Contract management processes must change and adapt throughout the life cycle of a contract and therefore should be reviewed on an ongoing basis to ensure that management is sufficiently informed of current and emerging risks and issues. In addition to regular review, the impact of the following events should be considered as and when they occur. One, divergence between each party's expectations and actual project outcomes. We have been saying this before, divergence between each person's expectation. You expected this, but this is it. This person expected this. What caused it? Misinterpretation, misunderstanding, misrepresentation of the ideas that he subjected himself to. He signed. Now, what he expects, expectation, they are divergent, but they can be managed. Changes in the project itself through change events, contingency events, or as a result of the project moving from one stage to another in its life cycle. Changes in the external environment in which the project operates. Let's look at class activity by about ending this. Contractual capacity is fundamental to a contract. What is the implication of any deficiency in this element of a contract? Madam, can I get your response? Okay, let me add the second and the third one so that you can answer them. What is vicarious liability concept of a contract? Then 3, how can a contract be determined. Madam, can you answer these questions so that, yes, they are rich questions so that we can use them and discuss, and then that will be the end of this one. We can then have a break and we reconvene as we determine. So please, Madam, can you answer these questions now?
I wanted to ask a question, but you were on and on, so
Okay,
I
ask your
didn't know when
questions.
to ask.
Ask. I know I said class activity now. You can see it now, Abi.
Sir?
You can see class activity, class activity.
Yes,
The paper
sir.
now, the paper we are sharing now, I
Yes,
think you
I've
can see
seen it, sir.
class
Yes,
activity.
I've seen
That's the question. We have questions number 1, 2, 3. So ask your own first before you answer these ones. You say you have
it.
questions
Okay.
to ask. You say you have
Yes.
questions to ask.
My question is that a verbal contract be legal. How can a verbal contract be binding on two parties?
A verbal contract can and is binding on two parties, provided there is no disagreement. Okay, did you say this? Yes, I said it. Did you agree to this? Yes, I agree to this. It's binding now. Do
Because
we
there's
get
no
it?
legal backing.
No, it's legal backing, provided it's verbal, and you agreed to this, and you agreed. So it's very binding.
Because somebody can raise up one day and say, where are your evidence?
The evidence
Where
is
and how did I come to
the
agreement in
evidence.
terms of?
The evidence in any court is affirmation. The other party will affirm that yes, I agreed. He may say yes, I agreed, but this was what I was thinking. So the issue of agreement there is settled. He agreed. What he's thinking is a different thing, but he agreed. So it's binding on him. Did you
Yes, sir.
agree to supply? Did you agree to supply 5 tipper loads of sand? Yes, I agreed. But I thought, do you get it now? But
Yes, sir.
I thought I will be supplying it after they finish using one. I did not know that I will supply the 5 at the same time.
Yes, sir.
Do you get it now? So the
Yes, sir.
judge will say, yes, you agreed to supply 5 trailer loads of sand. Why did you not supply? Say, I thought but you people did not discuss the frequency. You you should have asked. You couldn't have assumed. That's it. So the verbal contract to supply the sand is binding.
Yes,
It
to me,
is
I
the
prefer written contract
Yes,
agreements.
that is better. That is better because if he had denied, it will put you in a very difficult situation to prove. But now he
Okay.
agreed, so the contract is binding. Yes.
Okay,
So the
sir.
issue of whether he thought the modality of supplies is a different thing, but the
Yes, sir.
contract is binding. Verbal contract binding. It's not everything you document now. It's not
Yes,
every
sir.
situation you anticipate and document. Yes, so there are certain ones that are verbal and they are binding. Oh, they are binding. Okay, so please let's look at these questions. Question number 1: contractual capacity is fundamental to a contract. What is the implication of any deficiency in this element of a contract? We have That was how we started. So let's answer this. Let me see. This was how we started.
A contractual capacity is fundamental to a contract. Once there is agreement, and the agreement is bounding on the two parties, that a contract will be carried out by individual, and the individual will promise to deliver at the appropriate time. At
No, no,
that
that's not what,
moment,
that's not
it is
what contractual
binding on them, and it is
that's not
contractual.
what contractual capacity is talking about. The contractual
Okay?
capacity says you should not enter into contract with minor. You should not enter into contract with person of unsound mind. Eh?
Yes,
This is
sir.
what
Yes, sir.
you should not enter into contract with a minor. You should not enter into contract with somebody of unsound mind.
Yes, sir.
That is where contractual capacity is talking about. But if you violate it and enter into contract with a minor, I told you of maybe somebody that inherited a property is below 17 years. You say he wants to sell the property, and you agree to buy. You buy, you sell. Then later, when he's over 18, and he says, "My lord, I was a minor," they will say that that contractual agreement does not stand, and
Yes, sir.
therefore the house you bought or whatever you bought, you have to return it to the owner. Or somebody that is
Yes, sir.
of unsound mind. You know that this person is of unsound mind. It's not. He has mental or what problem. You enter into contractual agreement with him, and maybe later
Yes,
he
sir.
recovers. You now tell them that see what problem he was having that time, and they have evidence, probably psychiatric evidence, that this was what he was suffering. Though now he's okay. The time you entered into contract with him, that's what we are talking. That he had no capacity to enter into contract that time, and that
Yes, sir.
okay, like an agent that does not have the authority of his principal, which you call the straw fellow in law, and you enter into contract with him on behalf of his principal, and he does not have the authority, so that contract is null and void, it's not valid. That's what we are talking about, contractual capacity. Yeah, that's fundamental to a contract. Before you enter into a contract with a person, you make sure he has contractual capacity. Make sure it's not an infant. Make sure it's not of unsound mind. Make sure that it's not an agent representing the principal and does not have the authority of the principal. Those are the contractual capacity we are talking about. Because if it is later found out that these things or the person now say on the basis of that, I am not going ahead again, there's nothing you can do because
Yes, sir.
you enter into contract with that person that have no capacity to that contractual this thing. Then when I say what is vicarious liability, concept of a contract.
Okay, it's a situation whereby one party is responsible for an action. That is, it takes the blame of any action, even though sometimes he did not do anything, but he,
Takes responsibility for the wrong
he
done
takes
by another person.
responsibility
Takes
for an
responsibility.
action on behalf of another person.
Yes, takes responsibility for the wrong done by another person. That's vicarious
Okay.
liability. Very correct, very perfect. That's it. So, number three, how can a contract be determined?
A contract can be determined. Um, a contract can be determined through identifying the kind of contract that you want to go in.
The thing is that you misunderstood the word determined. The determined there is how can a contract be brought to an end?
Okay. The solution of a contract can be as a breach of trust, of maybe one party is to carry out a, a duty, and he fails to do it at the appointed time. Or maybe if another party engage a minor.
A contract can be determined by one, expiration of time, as stated in the contract. Two, by performance. Somebody has performed the contract and evidence of performance is there, then the contract is determined. Then three, by revocation, violation
Yes,
of the
sir.
terms of the contract. So these are the three ways. One, by the passage of time. There is, maybe it's a time-bounded contract. Okay, you have to do this for me for 1 year. Eh? You have to be
Yes, sir.
coming to our school. You have to be coming to our school to clear the grass for us. You do that for 1 year. Our gardener also is on vacation for 1 year. When the
Yes, sir.
person clears for after 1 year, whether the grasses are still growing or not, the contract is determined. Abi, you cannot ask me to
Yes, sir.
come in again
Yes, sir.
because the grasses are still growing. The time was defined there.
Yes, sir.
Then, two, by performance. They say, do this work for me. And the person has finished, it could be, let's say, a bricklayer. He's supposed to work a day. And your definition of a day is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Huh? But he comes to work, he works so hard that by 3 p.m. he has finished the job. That contract is determined by performance. And you can attest that he has done the job successfully. It has been determined by performance. Then a contract also can be determined by uh, termination of the contract, revocation of the contract. But because one or either parties of the two parties violated the terms of the contract, it can be dissolved or terminated. These are the ways that contract can be determined. So it is really a pleasure that you listened attentively. It is shown that you listened attentively. And so far, we thank God for our good network that we have enjoyed. So we have to, I think, go on break, Abi. We have to go on break to reconvene again. Let me check one more time. It's 12:30 now. When do you say we should reconvene? Hello, madam. Madam. Hello.
Hello, sir.
I said,
Hello, sir.
I said we have to go on break. When do you say we have to reconvene?
Okay, sir.
Which time should we reconvene? It's 12:30
Sir, you
now.
should tell me when. Sir, you are in a better position to tell me time.
Okay, let's reconvene by 1:30.
Okay, sir.
Is that okay by you?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so have a nice break, a nice rest. 1:30 will
And you
reconvene.
too.
Thank
Okay, sir.
you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.